Dave Kenworthy here. It's the 10th of the 6th, 2021. We're following on from the last presentation where we found that using Thom's megalithic yard, we opened up Plimpton 322, the first line, to discover that Berriman's Egyptian digit is produced when line 1, the ratio discovered by the Australian professors, when that's used and it's divided by the megalithic yard, we're getting Berriman's Egyptian digit. And what we're going to do now is follow on from that, because that's not the only thing that we can get out of that analysis. And we're working from page 1 of Historical Metrology by Berriman. And this page 1 is quite remarkable because it's the introductory summary, and he just opens up with it and throws it straight at us. Certainly the Greeks were unaware that the circumference of the earth measures 216,000 Greek stades, 216,000, and 216,000 is 60 times 60 times 60. Now that is massive, isn't it, when we're looking at Plimpton 322. And what he's saying is that whoever designed these systems knew the circumference of the earth very accurately. And not only did they do that, but they were using the meter, the ancient meter, not the modern one, to express this circumference. And in inches, imperial inches, there were 40 million meters in imperial inches in this variable earth circumference. And he gives us two examples, and we can produce the base 100 circumference by using his Egyptian version of the circumference, divide it by 175 and multiply it by 176. And that's what we're going to look at. So what we've got here is this 216,000 stades, and the Berriman tells us the stade is 1,000 digits. So the earth circumference is this in digits, and the Egyptian digit that we saw in the last presentation that we found from using the megalithic yard against line 1 of Plimpton. The Egyptian digit is this, and it gives an earth circumference, multiplying this by this, of 1575 zeros, lots of zeros, inches. The earth circumference is then 13125,000 feet. The earth circumference is then in miles 24857.95454545 recurring miles. And that is 40,000 meters. And the great circle is this, times by 176 divided by 175. C77 divided by 175 times 176, and there it is, exactly 25,000 miles. That is the base 100 great circle that these ancient designers were using to scale everything against. So we can look at the difference that's produced by these two methods of calculating the Earth's circumference. Now this 25,000 miles is greater than the Earth's circumference, which is approximately 24,900 miles. So there's a 100-mile difference. Now, the difference in miles is this, 142045 recurring. And in imperial feet, that's 75,000. And immediately you think, well, this must be deliberate. It can't be anything else. And we look at this divided into that, and it's 175. And we look at it divided into 25, and it's 176. And at Giza, we've got this measure that we discovered in the last presentation. And this is this, the Earth's circumference, divided by 43200. Which is what Berriman tells us is the ratio between the Giza base and this Earth's circumference. And we can divide that by 175 and get this golden base 100 cubit. Berriman's Egyptian royal cubit is something else. It's 20.625. And how do we get that from this? We're using a system of scale where the top of the scale is 100. And if we come over here, we can find out what this is. It's base 99. It's this divided by 100 times 99. Now, when we look at this calculation here, this is the base 100 calculation using stades and digits, transferring them into inches, miles, and feet, and meters. And what we find is that the base 100 meter is this number of inches divided by this number of meters, and it gives this. H75 divided by H78, 75, H divided by H78, 40,000. 39.6, and that's base 176. And Berriman's Egyptian meter is base 175. Now we've got enough information here to work out how the Giza Great Pyramid is designed, and we don't need anything else. That's enough. There's enough information here. We can use the 5.5 second to work out the height of the pyramid based on all this information, and we know that the pyramid is a scale design. So, how can we find 20.625, Berriman's Egyptian royal cubit of 20.625 inches? How can we find it in line 1 of Plimpton? Well, it's really simple. Line 1 of Plimpton is 119, 120, 169. And we're going to use the megalithic foot, which is 8.16 inches. Now, these numbers are not in units of measure, they're just numbers. But the fact is, we can apply these units that Thom found, regardless of the fact that these are just numbers, because we can treat that as just a number and then see what happens, and we find something that's quite extraordinary. That is the Egyptian Remen, and it's 20 digits. And there is that Berriman Egyptian digit that we found in the previous presentation. So the previous presentation, we used this divided by this to produce this. And now we're dividing this by the megalithic foot to produce the Egyptian Remen. And how do we get to the Royal Egyptian Cubit from the Egyptian Remen? It's dead easy. And Berriman tells us it's 20 root 2 Remen. So all we have to do is multiply 14.5833 recurring by root 2. And Berriman tells us what it is. And here it is. So we're going to we're going to multiply that by that. Boom, boom. There it is, 20.625 inches. Now then, there are a lot of modern metrologists who will tell us that these people did not use root 2 approximations, and they didn't use root 2, they didn't know what it was. And I'm sorry, chaps, but you're completely wrong. I mean, this is coming directly from Plimpton, using the megalithic yard. And there are many metrologists that will tell us that the megalithic yard doesn't exist. Well, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. And we just have to face the fact that this is what the evidence is telling us. I mean, there's no other way to assess this. It's very, very simple. And we've used two different methods now, using line 1 of Plimpton, using Thom's information to produce Egyptian information. And what we're going to look at now, finally, is how we're moving from Babylonian to Egyptian and back to Babylonian with this information. So, the phone's ringing, I'm going to have to ignore it. So let's go through it. We start with 60 times 60 times 60, and we end up with 25,000 miles, which is this, 132,000,000 feet. Now, to convert that back to Babylonian measure, we need to divide it by the Egyptian digit that's produced from this 25,000 mile calculation, and this is it. So we divide that by that to get that, and we're back to where we started. So it's a process of starting with Babylonian, moving through to imperial units expressed as base 11 at the Great Pyramid, and then translating these back using the Egyptian digit to get back to Babylonian number. So the whole design of the Giza Pyramid is sort of an amalgam of Babylonian and Egyptian mathematics. So that's very simply how we can translate line 1 of Plimpton to find this Egyptian royal cubit. And there are other ways that we can check these findings. But for now, I think we should just have a think about these figures and what they mean, because they feed into the Giza model, and that's the thing that I'll be looking at next. So thank you very much.